Dionne Brand writes of her white neighbor entering Shaquille O'Neal every night of the NBA championship. She writes, "I'm not suggesting that only whites enter black bodies. I am suggesting that we all enter the black body, embracing its symbolisms." And I think about this throughout 2020, 2021, as Korean media outlets report on high school students in blackface who photographed themselves and then willfully circulated the images. Their reports, however, are not critiques of this behavior. Their reports fixate on how Sam Okri, one of the few working black entertainers in Korea, strongly critiqued, and strongly as in quotations, the students. The reports repeat familiar tropes like Sam quote-unquote aggressively critiqued these students who didn't know better. The emphasis is on their youth, their innocence, on how much they didn't know, and or they didn't mean any harm, and or it was just a parody and then a joke. This kind of familiar. Brand writes of her white neighbor entering Shaquille O'Neal every night of the NBA championship. She writes, "I'm not suggesting that only whites enter black bodies. I am suggesting that we all enter the black body, embracing its symbolisms." I think about this passage from Brand as the reports begin to dwindle. The debate concludes after Sam Okri is accused of making a sexist remark. The media debate concludes after Sam is accused of being insensitive to Koreans. The debate concludes because it is implicitly decided that Sam is not perfect, whatever this means. Sam is not the arbiter of justice, therefore Sam cannot make critiques of blackface in Korea, which is relentless. Sam momentarily interrupted non-black people from entering, Koreans from entering, perhaps. He wondered about them entering. Sam interrupts with critique and is charged with hypocrisy, as if this is what this is about. Brand writes, "That one door transformed us into bodies emptied of being, bodies emptied of self-interpretation, into which new interpretation could be placed." And I think about the ways in which non-black people perpetuate anti-blackness and then claim an innocence based on age, based on location. They say things like, "Race works differently here," as if race is something that can be made, unmade, remade, and then made again, as if its power is not sourced from one root, from one kind of empire and colonialism. Or the academics who tell me that anti-blackness is a US framework, ill-fitting and limiting for transnational analyses. I think about Brand and joke that yes, Marx and Greenblatt are much more authentic Asian scholars. How strange and not strange that arguments built upon white frameworks do not configure into their non-critique. How strange to believe one can critique US empire without a critique of the tear Brand describes. Brand teaches us some things were exported, imported, and then how things became transmuted, transfigured inside. I think about the harms white and non-black people continue to cause in what they call play, parody, joke. I trust Brand and believe it's best to call the process entering, emptying. The insistence that black people are empty, which I wonder is a way in which non-black persons trace the procedure against return. If there is no return, and I say if, not because I don't believe Brand, but because the complete foreclosure from me, from this I, seems like fighting words. I wonder if this insistent symbolism functions as a curse, an old colonial promise being preserved, of no return. There are some diasporic tales that do not become exported because they are uneasy, often untranslated, because the procedure of emptying out was briefly interrupted. These stories are not exported, they are smuggled out of loopholes, found in small crevices of the internet, spoken to others softly in forums such as these. While in Korea, I began thinking about visiting my grandmother's cemetery with my brother and begin to worry about the details. We have the address and we can get there. Joe can drive there. But the gravestone is written in Hanja, a form of Chinese characters that I can read but not well. I worry about how I'm going to find this place, and I think I should have taken better photographs of the pathways, the route to her gravestone. I think about US Empire when I'm in Korea because I think about how I do not live in Korea. I think about colonialism when I visit Korea because of the sentence, I am visiting Korea. I think about US Empire and the interiority of violence because of all the questions I cannot answer. I read Brand as I reassure myself about not visiting. I try to memorize the lines. Belonging does not interest me, and desire in the face of ruin. And decide that the memory of the last time I visited will be, has been, enough. Namwaja passed away on December 25th. She had been sick for some time, cancer. Her mother, my great-grandmother, thought it was foolish to send girls to school and sent her to work in a factory instead. When she was 7, it was surmised that because of this, her literacy was limited, survival-oriented. This was during the colonial occupation. When the war ended and Korea became a neo-colony, she married a man she did not love and took a job in a market as an assistant to someone who sold potatoes. Over time, she somehow became a potato farmer and tended to a small plot of land. Hinged to an alcoholic gambler, she lost everything to repay his debt, divorced him, and then repeated this life with another alcoholic gambler. She told me once that when she had things to give, people wanted to be with her, live with her. She died alone in a small rented studio with the objects she was able to salvage from her previous lives. I could not attend her funeral, and perhaps it's best I didn't. The first time I visited her grave, I was surprised. The headstone was engraved entirely in a form of Chinese characters once widely used, and now only sparingly used by elite Korean academics and writers, called Hanja. On the front of the stone read her name, and on the back the names of children. Beneath the names of 3 sons and 1 daughter were the names of their children, all in Hanja. I notice a few things. I ask if the names of their wives are present. The answer is no. I do not have to ask if my name or my brother's names are written below my mother's, because there is nothing there, just black stone space. I repeat Brand's belonging does not interest me and remember this gravestone constructed by my 3 uncles amidst mourning. I think about how it's written in a language my grandmother did not read. I think about how it's written in a language their children probably do not read. I stop for a moment while accepting that this is what they believe is love. I think about Brand's "belonging does not interest me," and laugh uncontrollably while thinking about how the names of their children are listed below theirs and how the gravestone makes them motherless. What kind of Greek? Hello, Athenas. And wonder if they'll do the same with their gravestones. Will it too simply list their selected inheritance? At this point and memorized, I repeat, "Belonging does not interest me," and wonder about the mythos of lineage, belonging, its lure and repulsion. I also think about how much I hate writers who can be like parasites, who believe their experiences and the experiences of others are simply fodder for their practice. It's repulsive to be so possessive and property-driven, to think that the lives, languages of others are simply yours because you're the writer. It's the artist in capitalism, and you hate it. You fucking hate it. You think about this and wonder if this is what you're doing to your uncles, but worse, because English. It's unlikely they'll read this, and here they are, villainized. You think about how you're writing this in English, the way they wrote her name in Hanja, and made everyone motherless because you are not above it. You are absolutely in it. I think of Brand and her line about the tear, a tear in the world, the tear, chattel slavery, the door of no return that unmakes the world and everything in it. And I think this is the only truth I believe. Everything, including my life in this place, is related to this tear. I am suspicious and vengeful of everyone who insists on a fullness, a smoothness void of this terror. Brand also writes of lines. She writes, "Desire in the face of ruin, the ruin of history visited on a people does not wipe out the steadfastness of beauty. Not a naive beauty, but a hard one. Beauty, it seems, is constantly made. It is both fortunate and unfortunate, surprising for some, to find beauty must be made over and over again out of the sometimes fragile, the sometimes dangerous." I wonder about how difficult it is to make again and again, in contrast to the ease of emptying out. I wonder about how difficult this is, and turn the page and try to memorize as much as I can. This time with so much conviction. Belonging does not interest me.